One, two, one, two, one, two. Here we go. Welcome to the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, and Amazon. A Catalyst has the power to create change, and we hope that's what this podcast will do. A catalyst? Yes, a catalyst. Oh man, if you'd like to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivation561 at gmail.com. That's catalystmotivation561 at gmail.com. I would like to welcome you to episode 25. All right. So we've moved past the telling of my story. And again, if any of the three of you who are currently listening would like to contribute and tell your story, again, catalystmotivation561 at gmail.com. But we're going to be talking about different topics that I think need to be addressed. One that I'm really, really passionate about is our next topic. But before we start, at the beginning and the end of every one of our podcasts, we're going to start off with a quote. Okay? So our first quote is going to be from Theodore Roosevelt. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I like that one. So our topic today that we're going to be talking about is going to be critical thinking. It's essential in our daily lives, but often overlooked. So let's dive in, okay? Now to start, let's talk about what critical thinking is. All right. According to a foundation for critical thinking is the intellectual discipline, process of actively and skillfully conceptualizing, applying, analyzing, synthesizing, and or evaluating information gathered from or generated by observation, experience, reflection, reasoning, or communication as a guide to a belief or action. In simpler terms, critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally, understanding the logical connection between ideas and analyzing information before making a decision or forming an opinion. Now, why is this so important? Just look at Facebook. Just look at YouTube. Just look at TikTok. You can doom scroll many a reel that features people who are not thinking critically. All right. It's necessary in almost every aspect of our lives, from our personal relationships to our professional relationships, our careers. It's essential for problem solving, decision making, and analyzing information. Now, people who possess the ability to think critically are much better equipped to make informed decisions and navigate complex situations. We're coming up into a political season. We saw in 2020 what the lack of critical thinking showed us. We've been seeing it for the past 20 years, the lack of critical thinking on the far left and the far right. But especially in 2020, when we got COVID, it seems that it's exploded in epidemic proportions. And we really need to stop and take a look at why this is happening and what we can do to kind of stop ourselves and start thinking critically. So let's look at an example, okay? So imagine you're considering buying a car, right? It's a big, major purchase. And, are we just going to go randomly I want that car? No. You're going to do some research and make sure that you have found the car you like, right? However, before making the decision, you're going to think critically about the information you gather. You're going to analyze the car's features. What are the features you're looking for? What are other cars in the same price range? Do they have those features? You're going to read reviews from other customers. When I shop on Amazon, one of the first things I do when I'm looking to purchase anything, and I'm looking at those reviews. All right. Consider personal needs and preferences. Like, what do you need? Do you want interior leather? Do you want a digital display? What are you looking for? By thinking critically, right? You're better equipped to make the informed decision that aligns with your needs and your budget, right? So whether it's a car, whether it's going on Amazon, whatever it is, you take the time to think about it. We don't impulse, especially with a big purchase like a car, right? We want to make sure we're getting the most bang for our buck. So we're going to take the time to think about it. But when we look around outside in our world and we're seeing things, we're seeing that a lot of people are just repeating what other people are saying and not even vetting it or verifying it, not even seeing if it's true or not even seeing if it's actual fact. And we've kind of given up on thinking and taken the path of least resistance. And it's almost like we've become these puppets and we don't want to think for ourselves. It's too much for us. We're too stressed. It's like if I think of my grandparents' generations, if they could see people today and what they're doing and how they're thinking and how they're acting, they would, they would, they would, I couldn't even imagine what their reaction would be. It's just phenomenal how we've kind of lost the desire to be intelligent, if you really think about it. All right. So not only is it, again, it helps us navigate complex situations, but even simple situations. But it's also crucial in our personal relationships too. So it allows us to understand different perspectives, communicate effectively, and solve conflicts. So by thinking critically about our interactions with others, we can avoid misunderstandings, build stronger relationships, have more significant impact on the world around us. We're seeing this every single day. My right is right, your right is misogynistic. Your right is racist. Your point of view. No. We want to talk about facts. You can have your opinion and you can voice it, but it doesn't necessarily make it true. And sometimes we're taking emotion and considering that factual, and that's not it. All right. We have to understand the importance of critical thinking. All right. Let's discuss. Why don't we do this? Why don't we discuss a couple of ways we can improve critical thinking? Okay. So here's one way. So ask questions, right? By asking questions, we can gather more information, clarify our understanding, challenge our assumptions. Another way to improve critical thinking is to think objectively. Think objectively? Yeah. We really need to try and approach situations without biases, preconceived notions, or even emotions. Now you're probably saying to yourself, that's all people do around nowadays. And that's exactly my point. We want to be emotional. We want to assume things. We want to use our biases and make those things factual. And they're not factual. They're not factual at all. I mean, everywhere you look, it's a biased opinion. It's a preconceived opinion. It's an emotional opinion. And we can just approach it without these pieces and be objective. But it's so hard and so challenging for some people. And they just don't get how we've kind of fall into this trap of being sheep in a way almost. And when you try to bring in logic and you try to bring in reason, people use the emotion to respond to it. We need to take it out. And one of the ways we can do that is being objective. And finally, we can improve our critical thinking skills by practicing. Practice? You talk about practice? I don't know what the game. You talk about practice? Yes, practice. The more we practice, the better we become. It's that simple. At work, we can definitely do it, but you can actually do it in your own personal life. I do this with my 15-year-old son. He'll bring something up and I'll stop it. Okay, let's take a look at the question and let's deep dive into this. I get the eye roll. It's like, no. Let's do our research on this. And if you're right, okay, well then, then we've proved your point. But if it's not right, why did you come up with that opinion? Or why did you come up with that response? Right? It seems like there might be some biases there. You're using your emotion to respond. So take that time to go and practice these pieces, clarifying, making sure we're not going and assuming, we're asking questions, right? We're being objective and we're practicing, right? So let's wrap it up. So critical thinking is one of the most important skills we can develop. It allows us to make informed decisions, analyze information, and navigate complex situations. By improving our critical thinking skills, we can have more significant impacts on our lives and the world around us. So that's critical thinking. And I hope you got something out of it, and hope it helps you to maybe stop and think for yourself. Have you been doing this? Have you fallen into the trap of being biased, of having preconceived notions, emotional? Have you been objective? Have you been asking questions? Think about it. Think about being able to apply it in your life. So this has been the Catalyst Podcast, raw, real, and unedited. My name is Jason, and you can find Catalyst at Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. You can hear the podcast created through Spreaker on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Google, iHeart, and Amazon. The Catalyst has the power to create change. We hope that's what this podcast will do. Before we leave, let's leave you with one more quote. And this one's from Victor Hugo. It's one of my favorites. Perseverance, the secret of all triumphs. Perseverance, the secret of all triumphs. My name's Jason. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to be a part of this podcast as a guest or a contributor, you can email us at catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. catalystmotivation561@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to episode 25. We will see you on episode 26 of the Catalyst Podcast. Again, my name is Jason. Go be great.